Have you ever had somebody tell you that that is just the way it is? You know how people say that artists and creatives are never going to make good money because that's just how things are, that's just the way it is. Or have you ever felt that more is better, so that no matter how much you earn, whether it's 1, 5, 10K a month, you need more. More is better. You'll never be happy or proud of your business or have made it and feel successful until you have more. Or what about this one? Do you ever feel like there just is never enough? There's never enough money to invest in a support team, to upgrade your systems, or goodness, to actually go on holiday and take a break. Well, these are the kind of things that I hear from people time and time again who reach out to me. And they're also things that I've experienced personally myself. And it can often feel like there is this kind of invisible veil draped over you that kind of becomes a barrier, and it kind of gets in your way and prevents you from being a truly successful entrepreneur and really feeling that sense of freedom that you craved and that you aspired to when you actually started out on this entrepreneur journey. Now, if you have ever felt this way or any of this resonates with you, then you're going to love today's episode because we're going to dive into this topic in this week's show of Money Doesn't Have to Be Stressful, which is the weekly show for female entrepreneurs who love doing meaningful work out there in the world but often struggle with the money and the financial piece of entrepreneurship. And I am your host, Laura Cook. And I also run the Master Your Money Mindset Facebook group where you can also get greater support navigating the money side of entrepreneurship. Now, many of us did become entrepreneurs because we're seeking freedom, both financial freedom and time freedom. You know, where you could maybe just sign up for that yoga retreat you've been longing for and lusting after for ages, just on a whim, and you don't have to give it a second thought. And you're often looking for an amazing lifestyle where you could just take a month off work, take your family, take the kids, and just go off and just go traveling and know that your business was going to continue and you're still going to make money and you don't have to stress about taking that time out. And also you really love to make a difference with your clients and do really meaningful, impactful work, and not only make a difference for them, but actually have them raving and referring about you and recommending other people to work with you. Well, for many of us, we have put entrepreneurship on a pedestal, and we feel that entrepreneurship is just the solution to all these things. And we think that if we can just break free of the 9 to 5 and really get out there and do it on our own, then bam, we'll feel free, life will be great, and everything will be blissfully amazing. Well, I'm sure that by now you've realized and discovered that it's really just not that simple, and that you're probably in a place where you just feel stressed and panicked at the end of each month, realizing you need to hustle in order to reach your income goal. Or you're frustrated that your clients seem to wait around and to pay you their invoices, or complain when you start to try and raise your prices. And what I hear often is that a lot of women feel like money just simply gets in the way and they really wish that someone else would take care of it. Now, you know that having more money would enable you to finally feel secure and safe and have a greater peace of mind as an entrepreneur. And with more money, everything would feel a lot smoother. Now, I believe that a lot of us have lived in a way where we've had this condition and been surrounded by a lot of scarcity. And it's really an underlying set of beliefs and invisible limitations that have been placed upon us that affect our behaviour, our lives, and our ability to be successful. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the top 3 myths that I believe affect us all, and why entrepreneurship alone is not the answer to financial or time freedom. So the top 3 myths that we're going to dive into are what we've already kind of touched on, which is that's just the way it is, that more is better, and that there is never enough. Now, before becoming an entrepreneur, I know that these 3 things, these 3 myths, these 3 limitations, blocks, whatever you want to call them, these actually did play out for me in my life. So I remember when I was younger and I was sharing my dreams, my aspirations, my hopes and desires with my mum. And I remember her very clearly saying to me that I needed to learn to accept my lot in life. I needed to accept that that's just the way things are. And it left me feeling so trapped, like these invisible ropes had kind of been like wrapped around me, and they just tightened around me and held me in place. I'm also somebody like, most likely like yourselves, who followed a very traditional career path. So I went to school, I went to uni, I got a good job, I bought a house, I bought a nice car. I followed that kind of very traditional path of what is expected of us. And sure, I was fortunate enough to earn good money quite quickly from university, and I didn't really know how best to handle it or what to do with it. And I very quickly became swept up in this sort of context of more is better. So to me, money became very quickly about status and about ego and about possessions. And you very quickly get into this trap of what kind of brand of handbag should I buy, or what kind of brand of car should I buy, like a BMW or an Audi or a Fiat or whatever. It just became this kind of, it really did just become about status and about possessions. And it really didn't become about how do I use money to improve my lifestyle and actually be happy. And my career itself was actually in the corporate world, which felt very competitive. And not only was it competitive, it felt like you were never ever going to win. So someone else was always going to have more money than you. They were always going to get a better promotion than you. They were always going to have a better car than you or a better house. And it just felt like there was never ever enough. There was never enough to actually get all of these possessions that you maybe felt you needed because you needed to get better and have more and more and more. But also there never was enough in the sense that I never felt like I had enough left over after all those possessions to do the things I really wanted to do, like to go on that yoga retreat or to go horse riding, which is one of my absolute favorite hobbies, along with traveling the world and exploring. And so despite having a lot of money, I still felt like I never had enough. And it was really messed up, really messed up. And it really left me in a place where I became really confused about money, about the entire thing. And all I can describe it is I became incredibly disconnected and frustrated and had this inability to kind of accept that this is the way I was going to live my life. And the way these invisible stories, this veil, like I was saying, was playing out and affecting me and affecting my ability to be successful. And that really is a big part of what drove me to become an entrepreneur, is to kind of shake free of all of these things. But what I never ever expected is that those things, those blocks, those myths, those invisible limits came with me. So it's just how it is that more is better, that there is never enough, actually packed themselves in their suitcase and came on that entrepreneur journey with me. And it wasn't until I truly stepped up 100% to be responsible and take ownership of being the CEO of my business and really claiming the opportunity that I have stepped into, that the reality and the possibility of what entrepreneurship means actually became clear. And that by clearing away those beliefs and those ideas around scarcity and that kind of mindset of scarcity, it really cleared away and created an awareness of what is possible. And it helped me to stop striving, stop competing, and stop holding myself back by accepting that that's just the way things are. Now, if you are like any of the over 100 female entrepreneurs that I have worked with and spoken with, I know that some of these invisible limits and these blocks and these myths have hijacked themselves onto your journey too. And they've packed themselves on their suitcase and they're traveling along with you, putting up these invisible barriers and getting in the way of you truly becoming a successful entrepreneur and actually feeling that sense of financial freedom which you craved right at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. So what I want to do is I just want to ask you if any of these sound familiar. So the first one we already mentioned, you'll never make good money as an artist or a creative because that's just the way it is. I can't charge that amount of money because no one in my local area will pay for that. I prefer to ignore money because husbands or partners are supposed to take care of that. I had my best month ever, followed by my worst. What is wrong with me? 5,000 a month isn't enough. I need at least 10K. I should do this myself. I can't afford to outsource it. What if I don't earn enough and it all goes away? Now, if any of these sound familiar to you, or they bring up something similar or some other kind of sense of a limit or a block for you, then I want you to try this. First of all, I want you to write it down. Take out a journal, take out your phone, a notebook, napkin, whatever's available. I want you to write it down straight away. Secondly, don't judge it. This is incredibly important and interesting information, and I want you to start to get curious about it. I want you to take a look at it and not be scared or intimidated by it. And thirdly, I want you to think about how you could respond differently. How would you prefer to respond in those situations? How would you prefer to feel, act, or behave, or think about that statement that you wrote first? Now, I'd love to know what has come up for you as we have gone through today's episode. And if you can let me know in the comments below, that would be amazing. I would absolutely love to hear from you. And I hope that this has been an empowering session for you and that it has helped you to become really intentional about taking those steps and moving closer to your perception and your aspirations of financial freedom and truly becoming a successful entrepreneur. Now, it does require that you take intentional action and you take an honest look at where you are and really reflect on what you're doing and how things are working out for you right now. But I promise you that by taking lots of little small steps each and every day, it's going to have a massive impact on where you're going to get to and how you're going to be as an entrepreneur in the future. Now, if you've loved this conversation, then you're going to absolutely love my free training, which I've created, which is called the Top 5 Reasons That Female Entrepreneurs Don't Earn Enough. Now, I'll pop the links in the comments, but you can go ahead and request instant access to this training. So thanks again for being here with me today. I really hope you enjoyed our conversation, and I really can't wait to connect with you again on the next episode of Money Doesn't Have to Be Stressful. So until then, take care.